Welcome everybody back to Geek-span. Skip and I are back to give you your Geek Culture 411. It's Rise of Skywalker week, Skip. How you doing, buddy?
I'm excited. I'm the galaxy's best dad, apparently.
I'm going
to my kids.
I'm going retro, baby.
Hey, Richard, I almost wore that shirt. But I figured my kids would be pretty stoked if they saw me wear this on this video, so I wear this one. But I'm excited. I did not see the movie on the first night like I had originally planned for a few different reasons, which we'll get into. But I do see it tonight. It is a birthday present from a friend, as my birthday's coming up on Monday. So I'm more excited than I was before. So let's jump into this.
Well, awesome. Well, happy birthday, man. We got to do something for your birthday.
Oh, well,
I gotta talk to you.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
All right, Skip. The last entry in the Disney Star Wars trilogy, Rise of Skywalker, releases this week. Critic scores are none too kind to J.J. Abrams and the film, rating it below Attack of the Clones. Notably, Star Wars shill Scott Mendelson called it the worst Star Wars movie ever. Skip, are you surprised by the critical reception?
I'm not surprised by it. I am surprised by Scott Mendelson's words because I did see his tweet as soon as it came out. Of course, it made sense. He was a very big fan of The Last Jedi. And from what I hear, which we won't talk about any spoilers, obviously, here on this one, but from what I hear, because the movie's already been spoiled for me intentionally, I understand why he felt the way he felt. Although it still surprises me a little bit that he was so harsh, because as someone who's considered, a Star Wars shill, and if anybody's probably earned that title, it's been Scott Mendelson. I was pretty surprised on how harsh he was to it. Although this is the end of the saga, it's not the end of Star Wars content. Obviously, we have Disney Plus. It's not the end of the Star Wars movies. We know they have others in development. It's just this saga that has been wrapped up. So I'm going to be interested to see if this affects any of his treatment and some of the special privileges he's had over the years with these comments. But Wes, are you surprised by the reception of this movie at all, specifically by Mendelson or overall?
Something similar happened with Tom King's Batman. When issue 50 came out and a lot of people were upset, the shills and critics came out, were like, "Oh, you're nuts, you're insane." They kept rating it like a 9.5, a 10-star comic, and I'm going, man, this is really bad, but the proof's in the pudding. They keep watching this stuff and they're like, yeah, it's really good. But they know in their hearts it's not bad, or it's not good. By this point, they've seen enough bad Star Wars. There's been enough bad press. It's kind of in vogue to not like Star Wars right now, especially with some of the changes that J.J. Abrams did to what Rian Johnson did. So now, the critics feel like they can finally be honest about it. So I am a little bit surprised, but when I really think about it, I'm not surprised. It tis the season to hate Star Wars. It sounds like J.J. Abrams tried to please everybody and please very few people. So, especially the critics who wanted that path that Rian Johnson had started, which basically killed everything that J.J. did with the first film. And, he went back and undid all that and finished the way he wanted to. So it probably is a mess. I almost guarantee it. I haven't seen it yet because the closest theater is about 4 hours away. And I'm just not interested. I didn't see Solo either. I'm not seeing any Star Wars movies for a long time. There needs to be change at the top before I'm willing to go spend my time and money on that. But I'm not surprised. I was surprised at first, but when I think about it, I'm not surprised.
Makes sense. And a lot of the leaks before the release of Rise of Skywalker seemed to be insanely true. Unfortunately, most had proven to be spot on, even with as wacky as they were. Rise of Skywalker does reveal Emperor Palpatine survived Return of the Jedi. Wes, how does this retcon sit with you?
It's a J.J. Abrams thing. He's a nostalgia, that's what he trades in. He doesn't, even some of his original stuff, like what was the one with the kids on the train with the Super 8. That's a nostalgia movie. It's his love for Spielberg. He kind of did a lot of the same things with the Star Trek reboot, and The Force Awakens is a nostalgia fest. It's a fanfic film. So I'm not surprised that, he can't bring Darth Vader back. I'll bring back Palpatine. Like, okay, you kind of just undid maybe the most important scene in Star Wars movie history. Like, what was the sacrifice for? Darth Vader sacrificed himself to save his son and ultimately redeem himself in the eyes of the Force by throwing Palpatine down and killing him and saving basically the galaxy. But he didn't. So I think it's a bad idea. I think it's actually a terrible idea. It was executed pretty well in a comic called, I believe it was The Dark Shadows of the Empire, maybe, or is it The Dark Empire? I can't remember which one. But it was done really well there, that it actually explained it and everything. But it happens right after Return of the Jedi. For him to just be sitting out there in limbo for like 30 or 40 years, just biding his time, is pretty stupid, in my opinion.
I would agree. I don't like it at all. And I think there was a better way to do it. I think with what we know of the movie, again, no spoilers, but it validates a very key point in the movie. And I think that could have been, I think he could have held on to what that notion was without bringing Palpatine back.
Well, he might have kind of been forced to, because he introduced Snoke in the first film, and then Rian Johnson cut him in half.
Right.
And we saw it happen. Like, it was going to be hard to bring him back unless you maybe did it Darth Maul in like the Clone Wars animated film where he's got robot legs and stuff. But that would have been ridiculous. So, his villain was kind of taken away from him. He went to the other villain that we know died, but we didn't see die. So, he didn't die.
Right. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, see that you're right. Ultimately, what this really spells is it was very difficult for any of this to go over, so well and so smooth. It was just a herky jerky. It's funny, people talk about passing the baton, but I feel like this was more of like two filmmakers throwing the baton at each other. And like you said, J.J. Abrams, he excels in nostalgia and mystery boxes. And it's funny that
Rian Johnson took a dump in every one of his mystery boxes, of whether it be what happened to Luke Skywalker, Rey's parentage, the significance of Snoke, where did the lightsaber come from? Like he literally went and ruined all of them.
He did. It's so weird. And that quote had come out, I mean, because it was a live interview, and JJ was talking about how he's notoriously not good at ending stories, and I'm like, why would you say that right before the movie premieres?
I already watched really Lost, baby. I knew that.
Yeah, see, exactly. That's the funny thing. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh my gosh, you're talking about how you're good at setting stories up, but you're not good at ending them. I literally remember a few years ago when you came out with like a mystery box, like kind of actual like scavenger hunt thing. I'm like, that's all you are. You're like a scavenger, and you just want to set up mysteries, but you can't answer them properly. You're just good at setting them up. And then they picked you. So like I said, it was just them like throwing the baton at each other. And then finally this happens. Now I will say there is something that everybody should check out before we put a bow on the Star Wars thing. I did watch a clip on Twitter of an interview of JJ. A panelist asked him, or the host of a panel asked him, a very tough question in front of everybody, and they asked him, "How do you approach a movie where, it's being criticized so harshly?" And he said, he kind of did a Henry Cavill. The fans aren't wrong to be critical. They love this stuff so much. They've been waiting for this for a long time. There's been a lot of anticipation around it. Some of them are going to feel really strongly about some of the choices that we make, and some of them are going to feel literally the complete opposite about the same point that we bring up. And he said, all he could do, and I believe him at this point, coming in last, all he could do was just try to go the route that he knows, make the best story that he thought he could. And from everything that I hear and kind of knowing J.J. Abrams, with him being one of my least favorite filmmakers, I do believe he tried his best. J.J. Abrams, from everything that got tweeted out, it sounds like J.J. Abrams did what J.J. Abrams does best. And I don't know if we can expect any more outside of that.
Oh, no doubt. I'm sure he put his heart and soul into it, but it's hard to finish what happened to his original story. So All right,
Blame Catherine.
that'll conclude our Rise of Skywalker coverage here on Thinking Critical for this week. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. Maybe a little box office talk. So
Fun.
this week, DC releases Tom King's Batman 85, his finale on the series. It was full of info, but really void of any impactful moments. You know, in my opinion, I have a review out there if you want to check it out. People seem to like it right now. You know, Skip, how do you think Tom King's Batman run is going to be remembered in the big picture?
I haven't read the last one. I watched your review, of course, and I watched a few other reviews. From what I've seen, I think it's going to be it's kind of going to be that thing that you snicker at, and I think it's just going to fade away. I'm hoping that just some normalcy, will kind of creep over into it with Tinian taking over, and then we'll see where it goes after Tinian takes over, because that's a bit of a mystery. But I think it's going to be the thing. I don't think we're going to look back and in history, maybe even 4 years from now, even 3 years from now, I don't think so many people are going to be so harsh, even though it was literally terrible. But I think it's going to be that thing that we forget how bad it was. And I think we kind of have pity on it and just kind of laugh at it a little bit, like, oh yeah, that's right, the Tom King run. How did they let that happen? Now, from what I did see of the different reviews and everything, how it ended, I'm surprised, and I'm happy that it didn't have any spiteful things, because I know he's very aware of the criticism. But from what I've heard from people that personally know Tom King, everybody says that he is a really nice person. From interviews, it seems like he's very taken with himself, especially from that one where you watch him and all the other Batman writers, especially him and Frank Miller. But everybody says that he is a very nice person, very cordial. So so I was like, that's cool that he didn't take the time to kind of be spiteful to the readers that were critical of him. Whatever his idea of how he wanted to end it, he just did his idea of how he wanted to end it. It was terrible. It was clunky. It was almost inconsequential. But it was that, and then he kind of went out with a dull roar. How do you think it will be remembered ultimately, Wes?
You know, it's interesting. I don't think it will be remembered, and I have some pretty good reasons why. He literally created nothing new except for one thing: Gotham Girl. Now, I don't know what he was thinking, but in this finale, he basically takes her only weakness away. She's more powerful than Superman to begin with, but if she uses her power, she dies. He gives her a special kryptonite, takes that weakness away, and now she's just more powerful than Superman. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for Batman in Gotham with her there. No one can ever use her again. They have to forget that she exists, because if she's there, you don't need Batman or the Robins, because you have a character or a superhero that's already more powerful than Superman in Gotham. So the one thing that he created that could have withstood the test of time, Gotham Girl, has to be essentially forgotten for all times or killed off immediately, because with her there's no need for Batman. So I don't think he really thought about what he was doing when he overpowered her again, and took that one. The one thing that made her interesting was that she could die if she overused her power. So other than that, he didn't create anything new.
I swear, when I saw that moment in your review, I was like, oh, this is where Bendis came and told him, hey, the way that you really make money off of comic books is you have to create characters, and you got to make sure that they stick around. So why don't you give her some kryptonite? Because I'm writing Superman right now, and that way she'll always be around. And anytime someone uses her, or if they want to put her in a movie or something, you make money off of it. Thomas, remember that? I swear, I just smelled Bendis when he did that, and that was totally a money move that had nothing to do with the story at all.
Terrible idea. It was he literally you can't use the character anymore because you have someone that's too powerful in Gotham. There's no reason for Batman with her around. So that was stupid. It won't be remembered, except for the hardcore fans who are like, yeah, don't read that. That was a really bad take on the character.
I agree. Well, sayonara, Tom King. On to some other Warner Brothers news. Warner Brothers Animation's latest DC Comics film, Superman Red Son, released its official trailer. The animated feature adapts Mark Millar's classic Elseworlds world. What it where it takes Superman landing in the USSR at the height of the Cold War. Wes, what's your hot take on Red Sun?
You know, it's really weird. You know, I like the MCU and everything, but what the MCU is to the DCEU is what Universal, like DC animation, is to Marvel's animation. It blows it out of the water. Their animation movies are fantastic, and it's so bad that they perfected that, not the actual live action movies. They would be making so much more money. This is a cool story. It's one of the most interesting takes on Superman ever. You know, what if he wasn't about truth, justice, and the American way? What if he was about, you know, socialism? If they ever decide to make DC Elseworlds movies, this should be the first one. It shouldn't be Dark Knight Returns. It should be Red Sun, because it's just so interesting the way it goes, and what happens to Wonder Woman and Batman. Batman becomes like a terrorist, and there's so much good stuff in here. I can't wait to see it. I know that it probably won't do the full story justice. It's hard to do something like that in an animated movie, but I can't wait for it. It's gonna be great. All the DC animation movies are great.
Yep. I felt the way that you felt about the DC animated movies until 2016. 2016 is where I felt like they took a dip in writing quality to me. The animation is still good, although the animation style I don't favor very much anymore, but the animation is still good, and they still blow Marvel's animated movies out of the water. Even Marvel's animated shows, like the Avengers show that they had, and there was another one, even the Spider-Man show that they had, it just blows all of Marvel's animated stuff out of the water. Even to this day, I still have seen some of them, and even though I don't favor them as much anymore, and part of it is because that, like, it's taken a little bit of the turn that we've seen, like Marvel Comics quality, before, Donny Cates and Jonathan Hickman coming on for Hawks and Pox and whatever. But it kind of taken that turn where it seemed a little more interesting in some sort of narrative than it did in, like, capturing the original spirit of the stories, of the things that they were adapting. Now, be that as it may, Superman Red Sun is my favorite Superman story, and that feels weird to say because I love the spirit of who Superman is, but this Elseworld was such a crazy take, and it was just like so different. I was like, wow, you put him in a totally different space. I love the essence of Superman so much. I would have never thought of him being like this ever, but this is the perfect reason. He lands on the Earth 12 hours later on the other side of the world. Makes perfect sense. Now, with that said, they're not going to be able to do it full justice. And being with the times that we live in now, and the implications of this story, I do hope that they get as close to what they were originally trying to say and everything as possible, because this is the one movie I feel like could be blown out of proportion on social media, especially for people like, the people that are very casual in comics, but they very much have something to say. I'm interested to see what the ramifications are going to be on social media. And that's all I'm really curious about regarding this story.
Yeah. The one issue I will agree with you is that they're focusing on, like, the New 52 era for these animated films and stuff. And it's the wrong stories, but this isn't New 52. This is Elseworlds. It's going to be fantastic. Almost guaranteed.
Okay. I'm hoping. Yes.
Geoff Johns returned the Justice Society of America to DC continuity in this week's Doomsday Clock finale. In a recent interview, Johns states, "I'd love to write a new Justice Society book. If I could write those characters again, those characters I could write forever." Are you down for a new Geoff Johns JSA series?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready for it. I would enjoy it very much. Being that I'm not the biggest fan of Watchmen, and ultimately what the story turned into, apart from the show and everything, and apart from Before Watchmen, I haven't read any of the Before Watchmen comics, but I love, like, the idea of the original, like, Minutemen or whatever they were called, but, like, the original Watchmen. I love the idea of that. So, and I already know some of these characters from JSA. So to see him, he captures the spirit of those characters so well. He captures the spirit of comics and those ages, the golden age and silver age and all that stuff. He just captures it all so well. I feel like this is gonna be one of my favorite Geoff Johns books within the last 3 years, obviously outside of Doomsday Clock. But how are you feeling about it, Wes?
I would love it. Doomsday Clock is a phenomenal comic book story. It was beset by delays, and it seemed like they were intentional delays. There were some editorial changes and stuff to his story, but overall, Geoff Johns paid reverence to DC characters, the spirit of DC Comics, and that's why it resonates with fans. That's why it resonates with me. If you want to put Geoff Johns on a JSA comic and let him pay some more reverence to those characters, give DC Comics readers an alternative to the darkness and that's overtaking the DC Comics universe. Absolutely. Give me a break from that stuff. Give me something else to read. I'm enjoying, Robert Venditti's Freedom Fighters, which isn't a hopeful universe. It's where Nazi Germany took over. But, there's the fighting spirit of America. There's some themes and things that aren't available in regular DC continuity that I like. So if you can give me an alternative to all this stuff, and, because I'm not enjoying Year of the Villain, it's never going to end because it's going right into the next crisis and right into 5G and all that stuff. Give me something else. Give me Geoff Johns on JSA. Give me an alternative like Robert Venditti, Superman story in that Giant. Give me something else to read that isn't in this continuity that I'm not really liking right now. Yes, 100%. Give me Geoff Johns on any character, and he can show the other writers how to do it correctly.
I agree. And thank you for bringing that up, because I do want to catch up on that Freedom Fighters. I've always liked those characters. And the fact that Venditti is writing it makes it an easy sell for me. So thank you for reminding me. I'm going to catch up on that. And speaking of Venditti, as I'm still going through Exo Manowar, his run on it, which continues to be awesome. I just finished issue number 3, and I'm just enjoying it more and more and more. But he obviously he's not on Exo Manowar right now, but Exo Manowar has been absent from comics for the last half of 2019. And Valiant recently announced the character's return in March's Exo Manowar #1. Wes, this is your favorite comic character. Are you excited on the next take of the character at all?
Oh, whoa. So since Exo's return, since Valiant's return to comics, Exo was the flagship character. Venditti relaunched him. When he left, Matt Kindt came over, and he was the writer for Exo Manowar. Matt Kindt is one of the best writers in all comics. He's probably the most undervalued writer. Like, people don't know who he is. He is a great writer. The next writer is Dennis Hopeless Hallam, and he's not a very good writer. He's not top flight. He's not the next generation of great writers. He's put his work out there, and it's proven to be wanting. It's not good. He's not a top tier talent. He's never going to be a top tier talent. He's just some fill-in guy that you put on books that you don't have new stories for. You're like, okay, just put Hopeless on there. Maybe the sales will stay up. You won't take them immediately. So they put him on Darth Vader. I stopped reading Darth Vader. They're putting him on Exo Manowar. Am I going to read the first issue? You're goddamn right I am. I love Exo Manowar. He's my favorite character. There is a slight chance that Hallam gets it right, but from all available data says that he's going to get it wrong. The series is going to suck, and I'm going to be severely disappointed on issue 1, and I'm going to stop reading it.
Yeah, I'm gonna just hold on tight to this Venditti run. I'll let you read it, and I'll let you tell me if I should or shouldn't read it. And I will leave it at that. So hopefully it's good, but we're hopeless.
Absolutely.
And that pretty much does it for Geek-span. Wes, anything to let the people know before we get out of here?
Nope, there's going to be plenty of content flowing into the channel. Please keep tuning in here. We'll be here for the holidays. We will be here next week for a Geek-span. We will be here for an Outside the Bleed. And we've got some other stuff in the pipeline, too. We're going to talk about some of the stuff we have plans for the channel, as far as here, as far as Twitch, maybe some other places that we're looking to expand onto. So be looking for that. Enjoy your holidays. Enjoy your family. We love you here at Thinking Critical. Please come back, for when you have the time. But enjoy the holidays. Enjoy your time with your kids, your mom, your dad, everybody, because it's what it's all about.
Yes, sir, indeed. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you soon.
Son 'em up, Poe.